Hello there, my name's Scott. Today I'm going to be doing a review on the Lil Mama / Big Daddy cartomizer tank, which I purchased from www.ivapor-elixir.co.uk. Okay, so no need for any disclaimers, let's go straight ahead and show in a bit more detail. Okay, so here are the things that make up either the Big Daddy tank or the Lil Mama tank. Now you're not going to get everything that you see here though. It doesn't come with a cartomizer and it doesn't come with a drip tip. So you will need to get those two things separately. What you do get though is you get a 5mm tank, and when you're using the 5mm tank, that'll be in the sort of Big Daddy mode. And if you're using the larger 5mm tank, then you will need the larger cartomizers. I think they're the 45mm long ones. You then also get 4 spare O-rings, and then you get a 3mm Lil Mama tank, which already has these 2 stainless steel end caps already assembled. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do is punch a hole in your cartomizer. Now you need to punch a hole from just the top of the threads there, and it needs to be, well, the website says 9.5mm up, but I've just been doing it sort of 10mm just to make it a little bit easier. And I've literally just been getting a ruler, measuring it from that edge there, 10mm up, drawing a little line with a pencil, then getting just a small nail and a hammer, just sort of giving it quite a quick tap. That goes through sort of quite easily. Or if you've got a Dremel with a cutting blade, you can just cut a little slot in there, which I'm sure some people will probably find a lot easier. And once you've got your hole cut, you do need to actually pre-fill the cartomizer before you start using it with the Lil Mama tank. And even though it has got that hole there, I've not had any sort of problems with it sort of leaking out all over the place. Like I said, no, it's going to go inside the tank sort of, quite sharpish anyway. Okay, so now before I sort of fill the tank up with e-liquid, I just want to sort of assemble it and show you it, and also show you a nice little sort of feature about it. I'm going to do it without the e-liquid first, just because make a little bit sort of less mess. Now don't get me wrong, it's not a messy task to put this Lil Mama together at all. I've not had any leaks or anything like that. It's just that the way I do my recording, I'm actually looking at a monitor rather than looking at my hands, and so it does make it a little bit sort of more difficult. Okay, so you've already got your hole there, you've got your cartomizer filled up with your e-liquid. You need to remove the cap there, that you'll normally find there. You don't need that. And literally all you got to do is insert it into the tank. Insert the threaded end in first though, because you have got sort of slightly sharp edges there, so it may sort of damage the O-rings. And literally once it's got to that stage there, so it's not gone all the way through, you can sort of turn it over, hold it at a bit of an angle, fill it out with your e-liquid, and then you'd literally just sort of push that through until it becomes flush with the top there. And then you get your drip tip and stick that on the end there. Okay, so now let's just hypothetically imagine that this is already filled up with your e-liquid, but then all of a sudden, oh nuts, your cartomizer has just died on you. So normally that would mean that you've got to empty all your e-liquid out, etc, and start all over again. But with the way this one is set up, you can just get your other cartomizer, push that in the top there, push it down. It doesn't break any seals. Turn it upside down. Obviously the seal still hasn't been broken because you've got the O-ring going around there. Push that all the way through, take that one out, and then just push it through again. And that's it. Your tank's still filled up with e-liquid, but you just got to put a brand new cartomizer in there, which is a really nice, neat little feature really. Okay, so I will fill it up with my e-liquid now. So I'm just going to push that back down, and then I've got some menthol here. I'm just going to hold it at a bit of an angle, push that down a little bit more actually. So it's out of the way. If you've got like one with a nice long sort of needle on it, it does make it obviously a bit easier. But just for the sake of this, I'm just going to do it like that. And I'm not filling up like the whole way, about sort of 2.5 mils. And all you got to do is just push that through, so it's flush. And if you've got any sort of little bit of excess liquid there, just use a bit of towel, which I haven't got. You can just wipe that off, and then turn it over. And you just got to get your drip tip and stick that in the top, and that's it. Your Lil Mama is all ready to rock and roll. Okay, so I'm going to stick on this lava tube that I've got here, because I want to show you a slight issue with it. And it is a slight issue because it's a lovely tank and it works fantastic. But, you know, it is something that was sort of, you know, did play my mind a little bit. One is that it's quite hard to get the cartomizer to screw down tightly because as you do it, the whole thing turns, but the cartomizer stays in the same position. So I'm having to sort of quite press down quite hard on the drip tip and turn it like that to get the cartomizer to screw in properly. Now the second issue is that obviously now it's on there, the tank's not going to go down because it's going to hit the actual whatever device you're using there, but it does slide up, and this is the problem. And I can just imagine, now if you've got that in your pocket and it catches on something, it needs to slide up too much, and that's it, you're going to get e-liquid pouring out everywhere. Now I've had this tank for around sort of 2 weeks now. I've not had any leaking problems or anything like that. I don't want to give you a false impression that it's going to start leaking, but you know, you do have to be mindful of that fact if you're going to carry it around with you. But like I said, I've had it for around 2 weeks and that, and then this, you know, the sliding bit did bother me, but then I realised if you've got something like this, which is obviously like wider than the holder, you put that at the top, so like one of these little Ming vase drip tips. Oops, saying that. Well, yeah, obviously I gave it a bit of extra force there, but it definitely does help to make it a little bit more tighter. Well, maybe it doesn't. But I feel more confident with the Ming tip on now rather than just like the normal one, because it is going to prevent it that a little bit more. So fantastic tank. It looks so nuts. It is a lovely looking tank. It really is. It's made out of a nice strong material. You know, everything about it is perfect. Apart from that, just that one little thing is just a little bit, makes me feel a little bit cautious if I'm going to be carrying it around. Other than that, it's brilliant. Okay, so got it on the old lava tube. Let's go and give it a good vape. Okay, so that is the Little Mama or Big Daddy cartomizer tank, obviously depending on what size tank you want to use with it. Okay, so what I'll do now is go ahead and show you in action. So I've got it set up with as a Little Mama with the smaller tank out of two. I'm using a 3 ohm Bogue cartomizer with some 18mg strength menthol flavoured e-liquid, and I'm using it on my lava tube, which is currently set at 4.8 volts. You know, as you can see, I know vaporise it, you know, it really does chuck out the vapour, but obviously, you know, that is going to be sort of very dependent on your own sort of personal setup. And, you know, things like the voltage you're vaping at, what sort of e-liquid you're using, what sort of resistance the cartomizer is, you know, all these things will play, you know, a fairly sort of big part on the actual amount of vapour production you're going to get. But, you know, like with the setup I've got here, as you can see, you know, tons of vapour. And again, things like, you know, your throw hit and your flavour, again, they're all going to be sort of very dependent on your own sort of personal setup. Okay, so I might as well sort of talk about the actual tank rather than sort of, you know, just vaping it, because like I said, it is going to be very dependent on what sort of setup you're using. Now, the tank for me, I've just recorded another review on another cartomizer tank, literally about sort of 5 minutes before this one. And these were the first cartomizer tanks that I've used. In the past, the only ones I've ever used were the clearomizer tanks, which I was, you know, like a pretty big fan of. The only slight problem with the clearomizer tanks is that basically once the tank gets sort of below halfway, you start having wicking problems because like the actual heating coil is at the top, and you're relying on these sort of 2 bits of string to soak up e-liquid from the bottom and obviously feed it up into the coil. And so once your tank gets below halfway, you're starting to have to sort of, you know, turn it upside down to try and aid that wicking process. Now, with the cartomizer tanks, you know, I've been completely converted now, and they're just an absolute world of difference between a clearomizer tank and a cartomizer tank, for me personally anyway. The cartomizer tanks, you know, this one and the other one I've used, and I imagine all the other ones as well, to be quite honest, they just work absolutely brilliantly. You don't get any dry hits whatsoever. You fill your tank up and that's it, you vape it till it's completely dry, and you just don't get any dry hits at all. You just get perfect vapour every time, perfect flavour every time, perfect throw hit every time. Absolutely fantastic, they really are. Now this one here, the Little Mama, I think looks wise, I think it looks fantastic, and it's probably maybe along with the MC tank, which is another very nice looking tank, which is a clearer miser one. Hopefully they'll bring out a cartomizer one eventually, hopefully one day. But you know, we're easily on par with that. It looks lovely, it really does look really nice. And I've been using the Little Mama more than the Big Daddy because I like the fact that it is a small tank. And I normally sort of vape sort of around sort of 3 meals a day anyway, so one of these sort of tanks, you know, that's last me the full day, so that's ideal for me. So I don't really need it to be that much bigger. My only slight problem with the Little Mama tank or the Big Daddy is that, you know, it's just sliding all over the place. You know, you do have to be quite careful with it, or I feel as though I need to be quite careful with it. You know, having said that, I've not had a single leak. I've had it for about 2 weeks now, and I've really have been sort of caning it along with the other cartomizer tank I've got. And I've not had any leaks whatsoever, but it could potentially be quite easy to make it leak, especially if you haven't got one of these style of drip tips. Because I was using like a normal drip tip, and you know, and it would slide straight over it. It really would. I mean, like, you slide it off, obviously, to fill it up, and you still don't get any leaks out of it. But if I was carrying it around in my pocket, would I feel totally confident that nothing was going to... You only need to sort of slide it off that little bit too far, and that's it. You've got a pocket full of e-liquid. So that's my only sort of slight issue with it. You know, you do have to be that little bit more careful. It helps if you've got one of these like the Ming Vase drip tips, because that obviously the connection at the bottom is going to stop it from sliding down too far, and having this drip tip, which is wider than the actual hole, is going to stop it from coming up too far. So in that sense, you know, that worry has been reduced by, you know, sort of 70–80%. But if you're going to use like a normal drip tip, then you know, it was always in my mind, you know, is this going to sort of piss out all over the place basically. But apart from that, you know, it vapes perfectly, well, fantastically well. You know, throat hit, flavour, vapour is just absolutely brilliant. Obviously depending on what sort of setup you're using, of course. And looks wise, you know, it looks so nuts as well. It really is a very, very nice looking cartomizer tank. So, you know, if you did fancy trying one of these out, I would really recommend you get yourself one of these sort of like Ming Vase style drip tips. Now, like I said, I've had it for, you know, well, probably just over 2 weeks now, and it was only up until 10 minutes ago that I've been using it with a normal drip tip, because I thought I'd given all these ones away, but I just happened to find one just before I started recording, so I've just literally started using it now, and you can, like, you know, my confidence level has risen somewhat since using it, so I really would recommend getting yourself one of those Ming Vase style drip tips. Okay guys, well, you know, thank you very much for watching. If you fancy trying one of these out for yourself, go along to www.ivapor-elixir.co.uk. Cheers guys, happy vaping, and also come along and visit my website at www.e-cig-reviews.com. That's e-cig-reviews.com. Cheers, see you later.